I was very excited to learn that John Ratzenberger was a guest voice in Treehouse of Horror 25. I was less excited when I found out he has next to no lines and comes into it very late in the day. I still love his involvement in it, but I would have liked more. This is a fairly average Treehouse of Horror. It's the fourth episode of the 26th season, it's directed by Matthew Faughnan, and as always, I'll go through the various segments and give some thoughts on what I think of them. So there probably will be some spoilers here. Most of my Simpsons episode discussions are spoiler free for the most part, but with Treehouse of Horror, I obviously want to go into a tiny bit of detail. The intro was terrible. It's basically just a brief slideshow with clips from previous Treehouse of Horrors, which in itself doesn't sound too bad, but usually the intros are really creative and fabulous, and I think the last one, or maybe the one before that, was directed by Guillermo del Toro. And this just, I guess maybe they spent all their Treehouse budget on that, I don't know. But it was a very weak intro. And unfortunately, the first segment I just didn't think was very good. It was okay, it was creative, but maybe not that interesting. It's called School is Hell. Bart ends up going to hell. And Lisa as well. I won't say exactly how it comes about. I think the setup for this was actually pretty good. And when they're there, Bart realizes he's found a school that he loves and he wants to go to this school permanently. And he has various hell-based tests and assignments, and there is an ultimate test for something he has to do to somebody. I won't say what it is, but I definitely thought it was quite thought provoking, and visually it's quite engaging. It's very, very well animated, very creative. I just feel like the beginning of this was good. The last couple of minutes of this segment were good, but everything in between just didn't really work for me. Visually it was interesting, but the actual narrative, I don't know, I feel like it could have been more entertaining. The second segment, I personally did not like even slightly. This is A Clockwork Yellow. I'll let you work out what that's a parody of. And, well, again, visually it's very creative. It's very obvious what it's parodying. I think the style is really good. A lot of the decor is very effectively done. But I don't like A Clockwork Orange. And I'm not the biggest fan of Stanley Kubrick. I've got nothing against his work. It's just generally not to my style. There are a couple of exceptions, but generally I'm not somebody who worships the work of Kubrick. I know a lot of people love Kubrick's films, so if that's you, you probably will enjoy this segment. Having said that, you might have very, very high expectations and not like it, but for me, it's not my kind of thing, so I didn't enjoy any of it. But I have to say, the animation was very good. The animation style was good. It was very obvious what they were parodying and what references they were drawing on. All of that came across very well. The accents, the characters' accents, they're peculiar. It's kind of weird to get used to them. It's not terrible. It's not why I didn't enjoy this. Mary Poppins is in it. That I enjoyed. And the Shard. So, okay, there might have been a total of 30 seconds that I enjoyed from this segment. I am aware that that's more of a me thing than the episode thing, so I can't really comment on whether it would be good for a Kubrick fan. I'd love to know what you think, if that's you. The third segment I kind of enjoyed, and this is where we get John Ratzenberger kind of briefly. It's The Others, parodying The Others, and the Simpsons family meet the ghosts of the previous Simpsons animation style, where they had, the more pointed faces, the earlier style, and that was quite fun. It's not, I don't think it's the first time the Simpsons have introduced that older style, but it's quite fun to see them both on screen at the same time, and, being able to compare, spot the difference almost in that kind of style. And that I rather liked, and I thought it was a nice narrative, and it was quite well developed, and it was good fun. And then I guess this is where a tiny spoiler comes in. I suppose it doesn't really spoil the narrative, but it's the bit that I enjoyed the most. At the end, we get to see The Simpsons in loads of different animation styles. And we get Ratzenberger voicing the CGI Homer, and it was brilliant, very, very brilliant. And we get to see The Simpsons as minions. Minion Simpsons. I never thought I needed to see that, but I did, and there were loads of other kind of iconic animation styles representing The Simpsons, and that is something that I really, really enjoyed. That being said, it's still not an amazing segment. It's the best of the three segments in this episode, But if I were to rank this against other Treehouse of Horrors, I'd still say it was pretty weak. It's definitely one of the weakest Treehouse of Horrors I've seen in a very long time. If I had to rank these segments, of course, the others would be number one, and then School as Hell, and then A Clockwork Yellow. I've just realised why it's called Yellow. Because the Simpsons are yellow. I also learned recently that the Simpsons are coloured yellow, apparently just because it's an eye-catching colour, and if somebody's flicking through the TV, their eyes are going to be drawn to this bright yellow colour. And that's according to something I read on Google, but I just thought that was really, a good point. It works really well, and it's very iconic. Needless to say, Treehouse of Horror 25 is not great. It got off to a very poor start with that introduction, and I won't say it went downhill from there because it didn't, but it certainly didn't go uphill that much. I wouldn't skip it if I was watching season 26. It's not bad, there are some good bits, but compared to pretty much every other Treehouse of Horror, it's definitely quite weak.